If time ever feels like it skips, don't try to remember what you saw in the gap. I did. This story was sent by a subscriber who died for 1 minute and 42 seconds. That's what the hospital record says. Cardiac arrest, successful resuscitation, no brain damage, full recovery. On paper. He says this recording isn't about death. It's about what waits when time stops working. He was 46, no history, no warning. He collapsed at home. Paramedics arrived fast, faster than they should have. He remembers the floor rushing up. He remembers pain, then nothing. But the nothing didn't last. He says it wasn't darkness, it wasn't light, it wasn't floating or falling. It was stillness, absolute, quiet disbelief. Time didn't move forward, it didn't move backward, it wasn't frozen, it simply wasn't there. Slow realization. He became aware of a space that existed between moments, not before a second, not after, inside the gap. And he wasn't alone. Stunned, hushed, they were already there. Uneasy, measured. He doesn't know how many. He says counting didn't make sense. They weren't arranged in rows. They didn't block his view. They stood everywhere, like markers placed in reality itself. Confused fear. They had no expressions, no movement, no breath, no posture that suggested life. But they weren't dead. They were waiting. Quiet dread. None of them looked at him. They didn't need to. The voice tightens. He says the certainty hit him instantly, the same way you know gravity exists without thinking about it. They knew. They knew who would return and who wouldn't. Some of them felt closer than others, not physically, existentially, like their presence overlapped with his thoughts, not touching, not invading, just aligned. Uneasy calm. He realized then that this place wasn't new to them. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't created for him.
They were standing there, he said, like they'd always been there. Long before ambulances, long before hospitals, long before hearts could be restarted. Time didn't pass, but something changed. One of the figures shifted. Not a step, not a turn, a change in attention, not toward him, away from him. That's when he understood the rule. If they acknowledged you, you weren't going back. He didn't move, he didn't think, he didn't pray, he didn't fight. He stayed exactly as he was. And then he felt something he couldn't explain. Pressure. Like being gently pushed back into motion. Sound rushed in. Pain followed. Then light. Then voices shouting his name. He woke up in a hospital bed. Machines beeping. Doctors smiling. A nurse crying quietly. Everyone called it a miracle. He didn't. Because something came back with him. Not physically. Temporally. He says time feels thinner now, like it stretches too easily, like seconds don't always line up the way they should. Sometimes clocks skip, sometimes words arrive before people speak them, and sometimes there are gaps, moments where everything feels paused, just long enough to notice. In those moments, he feels them again, not seeing, not hearing, just knowing they're there, standing exactly where they were before, unmoved, unchanged, patient. He says the worst part isn't knowing that death waits. It's knowing that the waiting place existed long before any of us did. A long silence. He recorded this because last night, lying awake, watching the second hand move, It stopped, just for a fraction of a moment. And in that gap, he said, I knew they were still standing there.